Hey, I knew it. I knew I had one somewhere.
Good job, good job.
I've got my speaker shut off.
I'm not saying.
You did a great job. A little bit more than six.
Exactly, right.
All right, now you're good. Now we're good. Okay, so it's a little after 9 o'clock, October 1st, 2024. Let's get started with the Fire Prevention and Building Safety Commission. All right. Commissioner Burgess. Here. Commissioner Cook.
Here.
Commissioner Crisp.
Here.
Commissioner Davidson.
Present.
Commissioner Height.
Present.
Chairman. President. Commissioner Patarino. Still stuck. Yep. Vice Chairman. Or who was that? Third spot. President. Commissioner Porter, Commissioner Slaughter. Here. Commissioner Wagner,
Present.
Commissioner Zan. You would go set 24 minutes. Does everyone review the notes? Sir. Second.
Aye.
Aye. All right, was everybody able to find the variance determination support? Anybody have any questions or concerns about anything in there? All right. Hearing none, we can move on to rulemaking updates, starting with the electric code update committee. Mike, you wanna?
So sure. So the electrical code update committee is making progress. We've got 2 meetings this month. We're meeting tomorrow, October 2nd, here in the Government Center at 9 a.m. 30th in the Government Center at 9 a.m. And we're working on fiscal impact analysis. So we're trying to get as much done as we possibly can. Those will be very full day working sessions, I anticipate. That said, I am in a position where my new employer has advised that I need to resign from that committee as they are reviewing NFPA 70, and as an employee of NFPA, that our legal counsel felt that there might be some concerns there. So give me a look, Tim. So I am going to have to step down as chairman of the Indiana Electrical Code Update Committee. We as a commission, I guess, need to determine, are we going to appoint a new chairman or just move forward with the committee makeup as it is? Do we want to try and replace my position on that committee? What's the feeling of the commission?
I don't understand. Yeah, I think. I guess we'd like to move somebody else up as the chairperson of the committee already. And privy to all the information and all the meetings so far, we want to bring somebody up there. Yeah. Everything. Is there someone represent? Look at my numbers.
Well, look, it doesn't get LIHS General Counsel, Stas Dyer, has thrown his name in the hat as well. We needed to transition this out for the last couple of meetings for somebody to run those meetings. He could, serve in that role, if desired. So I wanted to put that out there for your consideration as well.
Ooh. So would this be a voting member and chair, or what are we looking at?
I mean, ultimately, that would be up to the commission, but I would be fine serving in a non-voting capacity.
Oh, I don't have any concern about that. I just wanted for clarity.
Yeah, the thought would be, just more as to oversee all the administration of it. He could serve in that role. And he's been at all those meetings, so he'd be up to speed on everything that's been going on. So, just wanted to put that out there as an option if it wasn't going to be another member.
I like that idea.
Yeah, me too.
Do I need to make a motion?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that we move to or appoint that position.
A second.
Chairperson.
Aye.
So then my follow-up question would be, do we want to look at putting another building official on the committee to replace me? I put it out there for consideration, but that said, we've already gone through the submittals, we've gone through the discussions. At this point, it's the fiscal impact analysis, which, it's still critically important work, but a lot of the code discussion has already taken place.
Can we put somebody in that position if we're not present?
Well, we can do,
Yeah.
it's the best time to nominate. For being yes.
He's stuck in Holland?
No, Mike's already on the committee.
Oh, never mind.
No, I was thinking of a building official who's a master electrician or rather licensed electrician from northern Indiana, but I haven't had a chance to speak with him, so I won't put his name out there without speaking with him. But I'm hoping, honestly, in my instructions to the committee at our last meeting, and that's why we're having 2 meetings in October, as I told them, look, I want the fiscal impact analysis done in October. With the goal of presenting the proposed rule to the commission at our November meeting so that we can hopefully take action on it in December. That was my intention, was let's get everything done in October so that we can present it, give the commission a month to review it and digest it and whatnot, and then move forward. So with that said, yeah, I think we should probably just move forward with the makeup that we have. And the addition of DAS.
So you pushed through everything already so far, and you're just really kind of.
Yeah.
Back on it.
Yeah. That's the only update I had. DAS, do you have anything additional?
No, I was just gonna note that we don't have fiscal impact from some people still standing, so do you want me to email them and see what's going on? Okay.
You're the chair.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was it?
We're still waiting on fiscal impact from some of our members. Next up, we have building code update committee. Chairman, you wanna take this one?
Well, I think we're moving through on the building code fairly well. We've got through everything, and I know, Mr. Hawkins is working on that fiscal impact, so hopefully we'll be able to hear some of that this month. And then, fire code, we're still working through. I know I'd like to actually have another meeting in October because we've not had fiscal impact, so we've had a meeting around the end of October. See if we can get more of that done. We're trying to do all that stuff, so. Other than that, I think we're going to give to.
Lift device code update committee continues to move forward with its rulemaking. The commission also approved them to do the temporary compliance with the new rules. So we're continuing to work on that project. Next up, we have the civil penalty rule. Justin's still here.
Let's do that, IDHS General Counsel. Yeah, we had the civil penalty rule that was approved months ago now as a proposed rule, and we were moving through the rulemaking process on that. We had a public hearing earlier or last month in September on that rule. No written comments or public comments were made on that rule. It's the rule to get us in compliance with legislation that went into effect. Previous legislative session 1623 is the bill number. And so now we're presenting the rule back to this body to approve as a final rule to get that finalized and effective. Nothing has changed since you've adopted the proposed rule, since no comments were received and there's no other issues on the rule. So we'd ask for you to adopt that as a final rule.
On your digital signature.
Hard to make it look nice when I'm using a mouse. And my other hand. Right, my left hand, I mouse with my right.
So what are we calling this? The civil penalty rule?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the civil penalty rule.
LSA document number 24260.
I will amend my motion to adopt the civil penalty rule, also known as LSA document 24-260 is what I have. Just for clarity, so thank you.
I'll second. First and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get a binder compiled with that. Now that's been adopted as a final rule. We'll send it over to the Attorney General's office for their review. And then assuming everything passes, it will go to the governor's desk for signature. And then, so a couple months from now, it should be going to effect, but we'll keep it on your agenda to update this body of how things are going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we're ready to hear variances. All right, so do you want to start the table of variances first, or did you want to do the
Yeah, let's get through the table of variances.
Okay. So first up, we have 240737 Franciscan Center Portway.
So, with the Franciscan Center, I have met with them. So they are, and I don't know where they're at today, but they are moving forward. So they have, already secured someone to put a fire alarm system and a sprinkler system in the structure. I know that we discussed that at one time. They just need some time to get that done. We as a local entity have given them that time to get that done, so.
Okay. For what we do, okay?
I would say that, let's table one last time, and then next month I'll make sure that they either get here or that I have all of their work. All those in favor, well, I guess in the
Second.
first and second table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Next up, we have 240743 7 Brew Draft Through Coffee Green.
So as far as our end, I believe the variance we're looking for is on the IT cabinet located in the restroom. Currently, we have about 15 locations open in the state with this same layout. Across the board, our franchise group has about 40 locations open with this exact same layout. From the understanding that, we moved forward with those 15 previously approved through the state, the plans reviewed through the state, through the city of Greenwood. We're just, we've been open now for about 2.5 months and on a temp CO, and I believe this is the last item for us to get a full CO so we can be in good standings with the city. From our standpoint, we believe that we've, mitigated the risk of having an IT cabinet in the incorrect location. It's protected, it's, waterproofed and everything. So from that standpoint, we don't see a real issue with the location of it. And again, there's about 280 locations across this country with this exact same layout too. So from that standpoint, we believe we are in good standings with our IT cabinet location and just looking to get approved variance here.
Everything, the SDI.
Yes, sir.
How many locations you got in that location? How many, the state?
In the state, 15. And we got another 4 in construction right now. Next year, we're rolling out another 15. Growing brand, for sure.
Oh, it isn't. Got it set up. I never hit my head, but.
As far as that, you've been to one of these sites. Right there.
I have not, we do not have. This one's in Greenwood.
Greenwood.
That's great. So that
How many people do you have in the building?
typically at the peak times, 8. So we'll have 8 employees loading.
This is just a drive.
Yes, sir. Drop it on.
So it's an employee only bathroom. It's an employee only bathroom.
Considered private? Huh?
Some private. I mean, I'm looking at the picture. If you were using a wheelchair and you needed to use this restroom, you're pulling up underneath this cabinet to transfer onto the water closet.
Where's the picture at?
It's the first attachment,
Okay.
146 PDF.
That's, yeah.
This is a 58 inches, saying 58. I think it's a couple inches short, under what it should be.
No, we're talking about the turning radius, the 60 inches turning radius. This is hanging.
No, I'm talking about height, because there is a box.
No.
So it's hanging, right?
Yes, sir.
So there's 58 inches from the ground to the bottom of the, is that correct?
It actually may be a little higher. Yes, sir. And on there, they may have measured that to show 50. I don't know what picture you guys are looking at. But we did adjust that to move it higher per tenant seals with the city of Greenwood.
And then what is the width for someone to do a turn around?
As far as
Inside that restroom as well, what is the?
it's 88 to 5, full, whatever the minimum width that's needed, it meets 88 code. Also, things that were approved through planning commission.
Plan review does not approve plans. They reviewed them and released them.
For that.
Plan review does not approve plans. They review them and release them.
253. Street on here. So the turning radius is okay for the wheelchair. It's just this height of that. Some on the bank and stuff on that. And it's 58 inches from floor to bottom of the cabin. It's on that similar, which is 58 here. I think it's 60.
I think 60 is your floor radius.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no way it's 58 inches
yeah.
from the floor to the bottom.
No way.
So what is the cost to move the rack?
Well, we'd be looking at having to, pull in some more electrical. We actually don't have a location where we have moved the rack inside the building that'd be suitable for operations. So that's been the location per 7 corporate. And again, it's the location that we've pursued on every single site we've done.
I understand that. We're only looking at this site.
All right.
And you're citing that there will be an excessive cost to move the rack and make it difficult to afford. So you're saying it's going to be a financial hardship. So I'd like to know what the dollar amount is on that hardship.
Okay, so as far as electrical rerouting, we're probably looking at anywhere from $5,000. So to actually find a location to put the data rack and get the team out there, the IT team, to reinstall it and everything, probably looking at another, $8,000 to $10,000. So anywhere from $15,000 admin that we'd be looking at.
When was this cited? At Ruffin or at Final?
What was that?
When was it cited that it was an infraction?
So
At Ruffin or at Final?
Final inspection, yes, sir.
A decent question, but what would have been there at the rough inspection to be seen? Would be my question.
All the Ruffin, Cat 5, Cat 6. Stuff.
That kind of stuff's usually in most jurisdictions, that stuff's that low voltage and Cat 5 is all done after your rough inspection.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't on.
Why not up northern?
The structural doing the drawings and all this stuff involved. But
That would have been caught.
after the fact.
I mean, the other perspective on this is that, yes, it's right to the left of the toilet, but there's still the room in front of the toilet to, based on the ANSI A117 to get to it in a wheelchair without being underneath it. So I don't see what I understand good practice is not to put an IT rack right next to a toilet, but I don't see how this is hindering somebody that's wheelchair bound from accessing the toilet with where the grab bars are. It actually, one of the images in ANSI shows the wheelchair being kind of in front of the toilet and using the grab bars on the sides without even being close to the IT rack. So if that's the main concern, I don't think it is, it's warranted.
It's just a locked for
Yes, sir.
somebody has to ask for management. Do I need keep the bathroom? I think it's just for the employees.
Oh, so the employees, yes, they can use the bathroom, come and go all day long. But the IT cabinet itself is locked. That's what I thought you were talking about. Yes, sir, it's locked.
I mean, I couldn't walk in off the street and go to the bathroom.
No.
I'd vote to approve the variance.
Yeah.
I'd vote to approve the variance.
I'll second. And first and second to approve.
And just to clarify, this is only for this address. You mentioned you have it at
There's 14 other stores.
14
other
stores.
locations. It's just flagged at this
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it could be flagged at the other locations eventually.
Yep.
And then you'll need to come get variances for those as well.
Yeah, we have another one in construction right now, up Emerson. So that one probably will get flagged.
Okay.
Sure.
Any others that are in the planning stage, you may want to address this differently.
Yes.
Yeah.
With an IT closet.
Yeah, something.
With an IT closet.
Right.
I agree. Does it have an office? You guys have an office space?
Well, we have a back of house setup. So, I mean, we got employees standing, running, they're out there crazy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 7 coffee. But you usually have employees just on the go, kind of like the Chick-fil-A model. But yeah, we have no indoor seating. It's all just right there, the operation space. That's about it.
Second to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Passes.
Next up, we have 240829 AHA Foundation Monitored Fire Alarm, Indianapolis.
They're on here for 240829. For anyone online for 240829, All Hope Foundation.
Times this has been tabled.
Just one, it's just one time.
Motion table.
Second.
Second table. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay.
All right, next up, we have 240831, the Haven Venue, New, or Yorktown. I can talk, I swear.
Okay. Good morning, Derek Bolton, our team consultants. Sorry, I'm not sure if staff was gonna give a review or not.
Oh, that's on the table, so.
Gotcha. If you remember, this is one, it's a non-class 1 structure, like old barn being converted to a class 1 structure, A2 event venue. Last month, it was presented as having an R3 apartment unit on the 2nd floor as well. The owners decided to do away with the apartment on the 2nd floor. It's just gonna become kind of like the bridal suite dressing room for wedding party at this point now. So now it's gonna be an A2 and B occupancy. So we've redone the chapter 34 calculations and stuff like that. We've also submitted, I think it was yesterday, had to submit the new updated floor plans showing kind of a sample seating of one side being kind of ceremony, the other side being reception. That's kind of their vision is one side of the building will be reception set up, one side will be ceremony set up. So it's not like the whole building, they don't plan to have the whole building occupied at once, it'll be one side and the other. And they are capping themselves to events with no more than 150 people. They're putting themselves at 150 people limit. So the request for the variance is to use the chapter 34 evaluation.
We'll cap it at 150 occupants.
Yeah,
That's total for the building or?
they're even planning on posting in their building for 150. They're not planning on taking any events more than 150.
I say total because they're from the wedding party to the reception. So- And then they're gonna add a NFPA 72 fire alarm system, is that correct?
Yeah, it's part of the chapter 34, yes.
Did you say they were going to remove the R3 occupancy?
Yes, because I know there's some concerns from commission members last month about having the R3 egressing through the first floor, and also the chapter 34 worked out better getting rid of the R3 as well. So they just decided to do that. And I think we probably need to put that as a condition, probably,
Yeah.
in the application.
I'd say.
Yeah.
Because the application still say, I want their, I'm going to get, later on down. the
Right,
line.
I agree.
Yeah, I was gonna recommend that in motion denote that we're looking at, because there's 2 chapter 34 analyses for this.
Right.
There's a second one that addresses A2.
Correct, and that's the one that will be submitted with the CDR and everything as well.
Minor thing with the seat,
Last page, sorry. Last page does still say A2 R3.
Does it? I'll get that changed before I get it to the architect.
one thing I noted in the seating layout is you got the seats right in front of the exit.
Right, he just made that up as a quick sample layout. Obviously told him you can't block the exits with the seating layouts.
Okay, because it's a document that's in the variance application, I think if whoever makes a motion, I think we should at least state that should be, reevaluated there.
Understood. Will be a long motion on.
Yeah.
Figure it out, I'll take it.
The important thing is that everybody understands
Yeah.
the variance process within the substantive plan.
What do you?
You would still need to submit this plan review, and
Yes.
that's where.
Oh, this is just a 30.
This is subject to the law.
Allow them to use.
File chapter 34.
Oh, right.
Right.
My primary objection last month was that there was no indication of how the spaces were going to be used in the plans. And so the updated plans show what the intended purposes are, so I'm happy to let this go to plan review, let them worry about it, also go through comments.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to it.
Conditions?
Well, make sure we put that condition, remove the R3. Right.
So yeah, so the conditions would be that the conditions would be that it would be an A2 only with a cap of 150 occupants. No residential will be allowed.
No.
And addition of NFPA 72 compliant firearm system.
You want A2 and B, right?
Yeah, it'd be a non-separated mixed A2B.
Yeah, it's
A suite, yeah.
All right, let's just
Should that be a first and second?
No, I'm sorry. So I got the conditions of cap of 150 occupants, no residential allowed, NFPA 72 compliant fire alarm system, but I missed that first part.
2010 edition.
2010. And then we got the A2/B occupancy only, right?
Okay.
Second, first and second. All those, vote to approve, say aye. Any opposed?
Thank you very much.
All right, next up, we have 240834 Convenience Store, Indianapolis.
Hi, this is Mario Guerra with J2LR General Contractors. We had brought this variance to the last hearing. The problem was that the building plans were incorrect. They were for a different case that was down the road on Arlington. We have since, I believe the correct plans are now uploaded, and I've also uploaded or had uploaded an interpretation letter from the state building commissioner. This is about a cashier area, floor area being raised 7 inches, and it's less than 300 square feet. We were cited for not having accessibility to the area, but we believe the code 1103.2.3 makes this area exempt from accessibility requirements. So if you look on page 2 of this letter, the interpretation from the building commissioner is that yes, a cashier work area smaller than 300 square feet in area located 7 inches or more above the floor where change in elevation is essential to the function of the space is exempt from accessibility requirements under this section. So that's kind of where we're at. I spoke with the building inspector and explained the other code, and he says, well, it's out of his hands, that it has to be decided by the commission. We were just told to get a variance, and that's where we're at in the process.
So you're gonna be raising the floor to make it 7 inches or more?
Yeah, this is an existing convenience store. The floor is at 7 inches.
Okay,
And
on your original application, it listed less than 7 inches.
Yes, that's correct at the door. That's what I measured, but the overall floor, I think it's lower at the door to get in, to step up. But the majority of the floor is at 7 inches.
I've got it online, yes.
Would you please remind me again what the square footage of the raised area is?
144 square feet.
Thank you.
And the correct drawings name is 2065 Arlington C-store permit set.
Let me see. 2165 C-store. Wait a minute. Yes, it's for 3015 South Arlington.
Got it.
The site or the floor plan's on A 2.1.
Yeah, so this doesn't have the office connected to it.
No.
Okay.
That was the other plans.
That's page 18.
There. Yeah, your section shows a 6-inch height. So, technically, it's a technicality that it wouldn't adhere to the interpretation of 7 inches. Yeah. So the variance would still be required. Is what I was trying to get an answer on.
Okay.
Because if you were at 7 inches, there's an argument that we would say no variance required. But since you're at 6 in elevations and you measured it to be 6, right? Or you measured it to be under 7, they didn't built it higher.
Yeah, at the door, the lip of the door going into the raised floor, it's 6 3/4 inches what I measured.
And it's gotta be 7 or more.
7 or more, yeah.
With without the threshold.
Right.
What it is.
No,
I got
we have
Just space. All right, 7 or more.
Yeah.
Did they move to go to 7 inches? You just.
And I'd be more inclined to make a motion, but, you know, given the size of it and the proximity, you know how close it is, but I mean, it's definitely not a no variance required. They're not 7 inches or more.
Yeah, unless they put a higher flooring covering on it, but that's,
That, they beef it up and make it over 7 inches. They should draw
yeah,
variance.
but then it's inconsequential. I mean, it's not a 1/4 inch is not something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't see a situation where we will no variance required, period, because
Yeah,
they're asking for it to be less than 7 inches.
oh, yeah. Unless they raise it a 1/4 inch,
If they raised it, then we wouldn't even get the variance because they would no longer be in violation.
right? Well,
Make a motion to approve.
second,
First and second to approve. Variance 24, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, we have 240837 Four Corners Winery, Valparaiso. I believe that the opponents requested this be tabled.
Motion to table.
second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Moving on to new variances.
First up, we have 240937. Sorry.
I feel like we threw one out.
Oh, that's right.
So 240950, the Hub at Nancy Trail, multifamily apartment. Is that correct, Mr. Gallus? Yes. Yeah, it's on it. Have to catch a flight later, from what I understand. No.
You're gonna have to talk louder, because there's a lot going on up here, but it's not any good.
Okay.
I've been sick for 3 weeks and I can't hear anything. So,
I think you're that far away from.
That's move that podium back a little.
sorry for the guy sitting next to you. Tim Gallo, JT Consulting. This is a pretty straightforward issue. We got 16 buildings on site. When the 6th building is being erected, Chief Friedrich had inspected the property and found that the egress windows were a little shy of their dimensions. So the code requires a 20 by 24 window. And so we've got 35.5 inches wide, but only 21 inches tall. And they're required to be 24 inches tall. So subsequently, since we started working on all this, the owners went out and scrapped all the windows that they purchased with the buildings weren't built yet and bought new windows that comply with the current rules. And the current 6 buildings under construction, there are several that don't have the windows installed yet. So they're going to work on those rough openings and put compliant windows in there. So we still have some windows that are installed. Do we know when the
140 installed.
140? Okay, 140 installed that are they're 3 inches shy. So in discussion with the chief, he and I thought maybe the best avenue would be to put additional smoke detection in the common use area by the stair that accesses the units and tied to the fire alarm system is a bit more early warning for the occupants. That was not the only alternative we could come up with.
Okay, great. And since we skipped ahead, DHS staff, does anybody else have anything they have comments on there?
Can't very much say at all.
Okay.
148 windows, you added extra protection and you worked with the chief.
Yes, I believe he's online right now.
Make a completion on those, on the building with 148 windows.
The 148 windows are almost complete, actually. The buildings themselves are almost complete. We'll have to go, remove the exterior cladding and trim around as well as the interior.
What's the distribution of those first floor to upper levels?
For the detectors?
No, for the windows.
It's
Like how many are first level, how many are second, third?
they're all split pretty evenly. The buildings themselves are complete though, so it's not like the ones that are installed on one level. It's a consistent layout.
Cost to fix the installed windows? If you had to?
It's cost, if we had to tear the windows out and reframe them,
It's about $300,000. Plus the
300,000 and total projects what?
I don't have any.
it's probably multi-million-dollar
Yeah,
project.
it's several million. I would say the
16 buildings.
the bigger concern of that is they're trying to get them completed before the weather turns. There's an 8-week lead time on the first windows work, so that would put us into potentially full weather. Having open, back up.
I drove by there, I mean, the windows are wider than required by code. That, it's like 3 inches, and that's been a prescriptive requirement in the code for a long time, but, I don't know if,
You have to meet all three.
Yeah.
All three.
square feet and the dimensions, yeah.
The thing that bothers me is that those size requirements are also there to allow easier access by firefighters with equipment, not simply for egress. And so the additional protections provided inside don't necessarily assist in that regard.
Well, fire chiefs and I thought that, the earlier warning got people out of there so they wouldn't have to go to the windows.
I always remind people it's an emergency escape and.
That's right. Serves both purposes.
I would note for the agenda though, that this is listed in Hancock County, so it is not in Indianapolis. It might have an Indianapolis mailing address, but it's not in Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's in Cumberland, so. Cumberland. Chief William Friedrich.
He is remaining neutral on this. But he recommends adding additional smoke detector from common areas at second floor.
Go with recommendations.
He says. As long as they agree upon.
That would make the fire chief comfortable, right?
Well, because he says he cannot agree with the variance, but
If you
if
do
they
this,
do this. But Mr. Burgess, and.
Yeah.
Purpose. So the building is fully sprinkled.
Yes.
13R, 13R. So.
Detectors on every level in that common.
Common spaces.
Yes.
And with the other six, we had resurrected our bill, excuse me.
These are
It has the correct windows in those six.
On 6 built, yeah, that's the ones that don't have it. The new ones will have the correct windows. They didn't build it. They had to throw the pillow would not take the windows back, so they had to just throw them away. And buy all brand new ones. Yes.
But, each of these units has looks like a Juliet balcony too, right?
You live back in the balcony, don't they?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's looking like the floor plan is like you got a common area and then like two bedrooms per unit and then a Juliet balcony kind of accessing the common areas.
How many different units do you have?
There's ostensibly, there's units on the end that are different than the units in the center are the same, or pardon me, there's two types. There's units on the end caps, which are multi-floor units and duplex type units, and there's units in the middle of the park. And each unit in the living room does have a.
And then the two units on the end you said are multi-floor, so.
They're built like townhouses.
Yeah, okay. But those do not have a Juliet balcony on the second floor. What if we, so drywall's in,
Correct.
siding's on,
Yes.
and how many buildings are affected with the 140?
Six.
6 buildings.
Was this identified in the process?
The chief went out there and he noticed it when he went out there to do an inspection at the 6th building. Inspection, fire department. And I don't know, so who knows? I don't know, but he got when the 6th building was under construction.
So when it was noticed, you got the windows that you shouldn't be using going forward. Place those and you're doing it right way going forward.
Yes.
Correct. How many other buildings are there?
There'll be 10 more,
Another 10 more?
So that's about 16.
16 built. Yeah.
The application just mentioned 14, so.
Is it 14 or 16?
It's 14.
Okay, but sorry, 14, yeah.
I'm gonna throw an idea out. What if we granted the variance for only units that had Juliet balconies? So that the units that don't have the Juliet balconies, where you can go to the second floor and there's a fire in the second floor and the firefighters can't get in those windows now because they're too small. We just replaced those, and by my count, that's 8 per building.
That makes sense, Glenn.
Sounds right.
So 8 times 6, whatever that is, 40. So instead of doing 140, you're doing 50 or whatever.
That would be, I mean, that's got to be a compromise.
Let's say that.
All right, my motion is to approve the variance for only units that have Juliet balconies. And, what's that?
All the other 30 units shall comply.
Well, hold on, I gotta articulate it a little bit better because yeah, so
They're actually rocks or something.
so it is a motion to approve the variance with one condition being that it is only for units that have Juliet balconies. And for only the first floor of units that are multi-story units. So what I'm trying to do is you're only replacing windows on the second floor of multi-story units that do not have Juliet balconies.
What was the second part again? So it's Juliet balconies only, and then.
So I think what you just said there works out better.
Okay.
That last
Okay,
sentence.
so the variance is approved except for the second floor windows of multi-floor units without Juliet balconies.
Okay.
And only on buildings that are currently constructed.
And only on buildings, only on the 6 buildings where incorrect windows have been installed.
Okay, so let me see if I can do this. So we're approving it only on currently constructed buildings where incorrect windows were installed, except for second floor windows of multi-floor units without Juliet balconies.
Say that last part one more time.
Okay, so we're approving on currently constructed buildings where incorrect windows are installed, except for second floor windows of multi-floor units without Juliet balconies.
After what balconies?
Without Juliet balconies. That captures my intent, I think.
Did I hear it again?
Yeah,
Units that have.
it's only, yeah, so it's only approving the units that have not, I think it
Well, but
didn't sound quite right.
but I'm also saying that they don't have to replace the first floor ones.
All right, let's try and work this out better. Because
Yeah.
This is confusing wording. So we are approving this on currently constructed buildings with incorrectly or incompliant windows. All right. And then how does the Juliet balcony factor into that?
Basically, it's the exception to it, or I'm sorry, the units that have Juliet balconies
Are the exception.
are included in the variance. The units that do not have Juliet balconies on the second floor are excluded from the variance.
And you're looking for going to replace the second.
Didn't seem.
No, I thought we talked about this with the units with Juliet balconies.
So the ones that have Juliet balconies are.
They like the Juliet balconies, right?
Yeah, they're included in the approval of the variance.
So the Juliet balconies would, and then you added the other part with the first floor.
Yeah, I'm saying no first floor windows need to be replaced. And only second floor windows of multi-story units without Juliet balconies.
Variance would apply to all first floor.
Yep.
And apply to second floor windows of those units that have Juliet balconies.
That's it.
Yeah, we've said it like two different ways in the positive and negative.
I like how you said that.
Yeah.
There's 3 floors of Juliet. Or
So second and third floor,
Juliet balconies.
so if we have that amendment, we gotta make sure we include the third floor as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. First one.
I'm ready to vote if it's figured out.
All right, so I have
That's-
all first floor windows and second and third floor units with Juliet balconies on currently constructed buildings. That work for everybody? Anybody want to make tweaks?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Motion.
The first, it's second. Yes, correct. The first and second, all those in favor with the addition of the language, Mr. Cook had, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for accommodating the time.
All right, let's take a, let's take a 10-minute break.
I hooked up the Wi-Fi.
All right, if everybody have a seat, we're gonna get started again. All right. Start with the new variances. 240937 Milford Elementary School.
This one.
Are you muted still?
Yeah, she got you turned on.
Oh, we got green
I
lights.
saw the red light, so I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
Thank you.
Yep. So IDHS, please.
Yeah, this is a new one we've come across and it's becoming more and more popular. They want to do a new type of refrigerant. It's an A2L group refrigerant. And they do not want to provide electrical wiring in regards to the Class 1 Division 2 wiring type.
Dennis Bradshaw, Bradshaw Consulting. Essentially, this variance is, as he mentioned, there's the newer refrigerant out, group A2L. And our current Indiana mechanical code doesn't recognize that. We were kind of discussing, I have the engineer, Mr. Lauer back here that, you know, and we were discussing, we're not sure if the A2L refrigerant would even on the scene or known of at the time that the 2012 International Mechanical Code was even put together. We're not sure just when that was, but we can look and see that it didn't recognize it. And so what it did was that it just said that all flammable refrigerants had to have Class 1, Class 2 wiring. And we go on from there. What we were looking at was that it started in the 2021 International Mechanical Code. It added a section that recognized for the first time the A2L refrigerant. It said, okay, all your flammable, and it lists the A2 and all the other standard ones that has been around for a long time. It added a new section that said it was the 1106-4 that specifically addressed the A2L refrigerant. Instead, you don't have to comply with Class 1 Division 2 wiring if you do this, and it listed. And what it did was it wanted a detection system that would detect when there was a leak when there was a refrigerant level that would be a hazardous. They wanted that detection system. They also wanted an emergency ventilation system too. That was written as part of an exception to the Class 1, Class 2. And that's essentially what this variant is about. We're wanting to do that ventilation, do that detection system, but get away from that Class 1 Division 2 wiring like the 2021 code recognized. And I think it's just recognizing new products that are coming on the market. The A2L is less flammable than the other refrigerants. It's also more environmentally friendly and safe. I'll turn it over here to Andrew here and see if he can answer any technical questions you may have. But that's essentially what this variance is. Let us comply with a newer code section that happens to fall into the 2021. That was the first time that A2L group refrigerant was recognized by the code.
And you need to comply with everything that's required in the 2021.
Right, and they're planning on providing all of those things like that 2021 code calls for.
Still like R12, but I know that's in.
Anybody have any questions for?
You say this is the 21 code that it's compliant with, is that right?
Right, it would comply with that 1106.4 section of the 2021 code, which specifically deals with that A2L.
Was it been changed in any way in the 24 model?
The 2024, they did some language changes. What they did, I looked at that the other day. I looked at 2024 just to see, what they did. Sure enough, they changed it, but what they did was they added a couple more sections dealing with the A2L, and then they added a B2L into the 2024.
Ask a different. Would this still comply with the 24?
Yes, they will. What they did in the 2024 code, they took out the exception and says all A2Ls and B2Ls must have the detection system and the ventilation system. Period. But then they did not require the class 1 division 2 electrical. So they done the same thing, but worded it differently.
Is this design?
Yeah, it would still comply with the 2024.
I move to approve.
Second. And the first and second to approve. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next up,
It's 24,938 Westgate on Third Apartments. We would request that there are 2 variances under this number. The first variance we are going to recommend that the commission approve. It's about double plate interrupting the fire rate ceiling. The 23600B, the code states that fire barriers shall extend from the top of the foundation or core ceiling assembly below to the underside of the floor roof sheathing, slab or deck above. The submitter is requesting that the barrier be permitted to end at the drywall while also adding closed space sprinklers. This recommends the commission due to comments given by the local authority.
Alice Jenkins, with me, I have Ryan Huffman, general contractor, owner rep. So in this particular project, the design incorporated interior stairways, raised 1-hour stairways that obviously have what we used to call in UBC days, extended closures to the exit discharge points. So if you look at drawing LS 101, you'll see that configuration where it comes out of the stairway, then it goes, it's hash marked out. So the issue with the project is that the details on the drawing and the way it was built, the fire barrier is built up to the bottom quarter of the trusses instead of up to through the concealed space up to the deck above, which code requires. I had a similar project down in Bloomington like this, that we just had the closed space sprinklers along the wall of the fire barrier, and staff approved that. In this case, it was a little more complicated because this was an extended enclosure or exit passageway. So the local building official and the contractor and designer and all of us worked to come up with some idea of how to protect the continuity issue with the fire barrier. So I do have some photos here. Unfortunately, I tried to upload these. The file was too big. And dummy me, I thought it was just too big of a file. Didn't know they were videos. So I finally got smart enough to use snip, and I didn't know how to stop my video and snip it. So I was able to snip it, change it to a photo to Acrobat, and then make a printout. So what we ended up doing was we had a closed space sprinklers like we specified. This details how we did the drywall. You'll see it here. Actually, it's like this. So you'll see here, so above the top of the header here, this is the concealed truss base. We had a drywall on both sides, and it's all fire caulked. We also added mineral wool and rock wool, filling the whole cavity throughout that space. And we worked with Bobby quite a bit on this to make to get him comfortable with what we were doing. So this is only in the exit passageways area only. This is the only place that we had the issue with. So we had more drywall through the concealed space. It's just not, standard continuity where the framing goes all the way up through. But the trusses are perpendicular to the framing of the passageway. So that made it difficult. So that's why we had the drywall in that truss space and a fire collector in the middle. But also we got those big sprinklers through there.
Thank you.
Bobby LaRue, Monroe County Building Department. What Tim, one of our concerns in these situations is always that the trusses and webbing, gang nailers, all of those things always occur in the least advantageous point for this type of repair. So I just wanted to let you all know they have done a very nice, tidy job of encapsulating this above the ceiling space. On the unit side, they had actually turned the drywall out and came to a vertical webbing member. Still, it's a webbing member right in the middle of this. So we've got the closed space sprinkler heads there as well. Seem to be doing a really nice job of putting it together nice and neat and tidy and the things that we need for fire resistance. So
you thought you're very, very comfortable working with the company, and
they've actually been fantastic. It might surprise you all, but I can be kind of a pain sometimes. They have been fantastic to work with.
Happy out.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
And first and second to approve
A and B.
38 A and B.
Yep.
Okay, on 10 attorneys. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have 240939 and B, Newport Towers, Primitive Crawfordsville.
Okay, powers and structures and. All right, just for clarification, A is boys, so we're just focusing on B. The code mandates that the store hazardous materials and excess of limits set forth in tables 307.1 and 307.2 be classified as Route H occupancy. The matter requests that this building be classified as an Act 2 while still exceeding the hazardous material limits.
Cool. So my name's Kendall. I'm with the general contractor. This is Mike. He is one of the leaders of the Newport team here in Crawfordsville. We're also joined by a few folks online, including our architect, Rob. He's actually going to be introducing the variance. And then we're also joined by my coworker and fellow project manager, Jacob, and Brent Williams with Nucor headquarters, who's kind of the process guru. So Rob, I guess if you can hear us, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Guess you can hear me okay, Kendall?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So as was stated, at this our Nucor campus, we have 5 buildings, all pre-engineered metal buildings, classified as a F2 single-story occupancies. However, we have one building, it's just under 115,000 square feet. It has quantities of hazardous materials that would classify us as an H occupancy. Reason we are requesting the variance for a 1-story non-sprinklered F2 unlimited area building is because type 2B construction we're trying to maintain for the pre-engineered metal buildings. The building itself is isolated by about 500 feet from the next nearest structure. The quantities of hazardous materials will be considerably diluted just as part of the Nucor process of steel manufacturing or steel fabrication. And the materials will be pumped directly into tankers, directly from tankers into process tanks. The facility is going to have containment pits and closed loop systems to handle the materials. And the materials are exclusively used for metal production. And part of Nucor's, process and facilities has heavy emphasis on minimal waste. So they're very conscientious of safety. Furthermore, regarding the, single story non-sprinkler, the process itself, there's zinc and aluminum and other materials that in the event of crises, that water introduced could create like a violent or explosive like interaction with the water. So there's a safety concern for the employees. And then just regarding general hardship, as an H3 or H4 occupancy, which is what we would end up landing into, to maintain a unlimited area building, we'd have to do a type 1A construction type, which would have, a higher level of rating of primary structure, exterior walls, interior bearing walls, and floor construction. That would be considerable time and cost to the project, specifically being a pre-engineered metal building as well. So that's our case to you for your consideration.
Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
This, the building's existing, right?
It's not, it's being built now.
It's being built now.
Being built, yeah. Yep.
Question is, when you say that the material be diluted, well, what does that entail?
Yeah. So what the building is, it's a galvanizing facility. So effectively, Nucor is bringing in some of their own products, some of external product, but it all comes in. There's a crane system in the building, and basically the material gets lifted and it gets brought into an enclosure where the pits contain hazardous materials are present. So basically, these are like 20,000 gallon pits, just giant tanks that are recessed into the ground. Sealed pits, waterproof and everything to prevent spills, all that. But basically, it just goes through a series of tanks and gets dipped. It's a hot dip galvanization process. So while the materials that are, the quantities of materials that we have are large, they're diluted in these giant pits. So we're technically over limits for the H occupancy, but as far as actual potency goes, we don't feel like it really applies.
You're over for H or you're over for 2?
Have to. Yeah. Yeah.
And Brent, could you weigh in on the solution?
Yeah, primary, what we're using is a diluted sulfuric acid. Operating range for processing material through there being that 10% solution. So 90% water, 10% sulfuric acid. So it's a pretty weak concentration. What that does is it takes the rust and mill scale off the steel before we galvanize it.
And what safety features do you have now?
What safety features do we have now?
Or will you have, I guess?
Right. So basically, the area that actually has the acids and everything is in an enclosure in and of itself. So you can't actually get in it. It's so as far as people are concerned, that material is totally separate from anything that we're doing. And the rest of the facility is just simply a steel facility. It's mostly just product movement. So that we feel very strongly is in line with an F2 occupancy. So code compliant F2.
Is the storage area designed to H occupancy? Hazardous material?
And
no.
Brent, I'll let you weigh in on that too. The safety.
It's designed that way.
Yeah. So sorry, I might have misspoke a little bit. It's not It's not like a chemical storage area. It's just metal storage, just steel.
I'm talking, you have areas here where you're storing acid, correct?
That's right, yeah.
In tanks.
Yes, sir.
And those areas should be a class H storage area.
Right, I'll let you speak to that a little bit.
Sorry, Brent or myself?
Yeah, who needs to speak up for that, on that? But basically, we have secondary containment in case we do have, a leak in one of the pickle tanks. But the tanks are still structured. It's inside an enclosed environment. It's under negative pressure, so we have scrubbers that filter that air. So it's a specially lined acid-resistant pit that's designed. If we do have a failure, then we can contain that acid in that one location, and then we could pump it to one of our other process tanks.
Was you asking about the storage or process area?
The storage area.
Storage area.
The storage area, we do have capabilities of storing acid, but that's not our goal. That's our goal if we need to bring some acid in, or if we do have to do some maintenance on one of the tanks. But our primary storage is going to be our process tank for our galv line.
Which is where the diluted material is.
Yes, that's correct. And we do have some capacity in the tank farm for storage, but that's just a worst case scenario that if we need to move some acid or liquid, if we need to work on one of the tanks. But really, that's just like an emergency situation. But we're primarily going to keep and store all of our acid in our process tank in the enclosed environment.
So you're looking to meet all the requirements of the H with the exception of a sprinkler system. And that's why you're going to be considered an F2. Is that correct?
Rob, do you have that question?
Yes, so we're looking also because per code if we were to be an H3 or an H4 occupancy at this size building, at an unlimited area building, we would have to be a type 1A construction, which would require significantly more rating of like the primary structure, load-bearing walls throughout the facility as well, which is also time and cost increase. So there's that as well as the sprinkler system. So that's why we're applying for the unlimited single story F2 unsprinkled building.
And if I may, I'd like to just back up for a minute on the zinc. So we have a galvanizing kettle that's going to contain a little over 3 million pounds of molten zinc at 840 degrees. So any moisture or any sprinkler heads in that area that may interact with that molten zinc will be a huge safety concern, not only for the employees, also first responders if they were to come in.
That part I understand.
Yeah.
I understand not sprinkling in those areas where you have those chemicals, because obviously that makes a dangerous situation. I just didn't know, my thought was that the rest of the building was going to comply just without a sprinkler system, but you were going to consider an F2 so you wouldn't have to sprinkle. But that's not the case, right? You want to meet all the criteria of an F2 and not an H, including the sprinkler system, including the waivers.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes.
It seems to me like you're asked, I mean, maybe it seems to me that you should be classified as an H and seek variances for the things that that are not going to be there, as opposed to like try to class down as an F2 so that you don't have to meet requirements that an H would require. Because even, I mean, without like going line by line, even if you have water reactive things, there are provisions in the code, I think, that allow you to kind of maneuver your sprinkler system around those operations.
And those, for instance, we've seen some of those and allowed some of those in the past. But the rest of this apply. And with that, we got a variance for without having to have a sprinkler system, what I was alluding to, just saying that we've dealt with the chemicals before and I understand the reaction that we don't want water in some of these areas. But that the rest of the building can fly.
Yeah, because I mean, like if we grant an F2, thinking that, oh, all you're talking about is type 1A and, or I'm sorry, type 1A and sprinklers is the only things that we're not getting. We could be forgetting other things that are required in H occupancies that we are basically kind of disregarding if we give an F2, is what I'm worried about. Where I think it'd be, and maybe, I mean, maybe the result's the same whether we do it one way or the other, but like it makes more sense in my mind to say, hey, you have over the allowable hazardous materials, therefore you're an H. And if there's things that H occupancies require that you want a variance for, let's talk about those, not just grant you a blanket F2 occupancy. Okay. Yes. So if I have agreement from other commissioners, I might recommend or I might say that maybe this variance needs to be rewritten, because I don't know if there's enough research into being an H and what they don't want for a new variance. Yeah, so I don't want to do that. So
I agree with you. I'm trying to get you, so I think that we should either look to table, because there's a possibility of being denied, or so that you can rethink or redesign the building. Possibly, like I said, an H, building itself.
Yeah. Who is your architect, Rob?
Variance of non-sprinkler.
Yeah. So Rob, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you've designed the building with the lens of it being an F2, right?
Correct. Yep.
And so what I think we're getting ready to say is we should probably table this and relook at the building as an H occupancy and figure out what things are required of an H occupancy that you would like a variance for.
Okay. If I may, just to throw it out there, that was actually part of the process of why we put in the specific request we did for the single story unsprinkled F2. Just because the provisions of H, checking off the boxes during a code review, those primary things, not to go through line by line, you're talking about separation from other facilities or other buildings and structures, the sprinkler system, control areas, rating of, primary structure, all those kind of things. And then the sprinkler system. So like that's why we went the route, because we did do our due diligence to look at the H occupancy and what would be required, and like we fell into this particular, 1-story non-sprinkled F2 building. And that worked out for us, per 507.2. That's what we were kind of lining up with to be an unlimited area building. Because we also understood the limitations of the area that we would be allowed to do as a type 2B H occupancy. So we did kind of do our due diligence to see, all right, we're an unlimited area building. We know there's precedence for this facility. And I might have forgotten to mention that earlier, that there are other facilities like this around the US, which I know we're here, so just as for what it's worth, but just doing our due diligence, we understood by requesting this variance, we are kind of making sure that we are checking off boxes that we need to for H. But HF2, if we can get that variance, that's kind of where we fell into after doing our code review and everything like that.
Yeah, and I still don't think I'm at a point where I'd want to grant you an F2 occupancy. I'd rather have it be an H occupancy with the variances for what you don't want to do that are required of H occupancy.
Yeah, the starting point should be what it is.
Yeah.
Not what they want.
Yeah. And it may be like the same, you come back and you ask for a variance for the same things you're delineating in your variance right now. But the only thing that you wouldn't be getting is the designation as a F2. And so at the end of the day, it may not change the result, but I think from a being consistent and like doing it the right way, I think that's the better way to do it.
Occupancy group is central to the identity of the building and its use. And I can just foresee all kinds of confusion down the road if the project were formally filed and approved as an occupancy group that doesn't accurately reflect what's going on.
Yeah. So if you are comfortable, because I think reading the room is tabling is probably the way to go. We would probably table it, allow you guys to come back next month with it's an H occupancy, but here's the things that are required of H occupancies that we want a variance for. And then then we'll consider that at that time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yep.
Rob, are you good with that?
Yeah, Kendall, what are your thoughts, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we can present it in a way that is sort of, I guess, more granular to the committee's review, then I would much rather present it in a more granular way than just get denied wholesale. You know,
I think you can end up with the same thing you're looking at. Right. It's just that it would be denoted correctly. Right. And have to talk to local building fire officials.
Yeah, we have.
And their thoughts.
My understanding is they're comfortable with what we're proposing here. You know, like Rob mentioned, Nucor operates a bunch of these facilities around the country, and this is pretty much how every one of them is constructed. It's kind of a bit of a copy and paste from other jurisdictions, which obviously understood. You guys are here. Building isn't in Alabama, right? But yeah. So.
Second. Okay, first and second, Tim. All those in favor of Tim, aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. All right, next up, we have 240948 Ohio County Holding Edition renovation reference.
This is a request to permit wiring in other areas of the building to terminate in the elevator sheathing.
Yeah, good morning. Bruce Thompson with Performance Services. I'm an engineering manager or design builder, we designed and are constructing an addition to a courthouse in Ohio County, Indiana, down in Rising Sun. Basically, the addition is a holding cell addition for the sheriff's office, some sheriff's offices as well. But part of the issue, the way the building is positioned, we had to locate the holding cells on the opposite side of the existing building from where the courthouse is. So they were going to have to transfer prisoners from the holding cells through the public space, up a public elevator to get to the courtroom. So our solution was we actually are constructing a 2-story secured vestibule, which has an elevator up to the courtroom level. And it will have a single holding cell for whoever is particularly on trial at that point. So the elevator equipment room in question is this 2-story addition adjacent to the courtroom. Again, it's kind of landlocked by utilities and the existing streets, so we really couldn't make it any larger than it is. Panel in question, located in the elevator equipment room, is feeding simply that 2-story addition. It's about 1,100 square feet total. I know NEC, does not want electric panels located in the elevator machine room due to unauthorized personnel accessing that equipment room. In this instance, This is a secure vestibule entry. Only the sheriff's deputies have access to that. So even if a maintenance person were to come to do some electric work, they will be escorted by a deputy into that elevator equipment room. So there's no public access, only sheriff's deputies. I'd say to locate a panel elsewhere, we'd have to go back into this existing courthouse, probably in the basement, and run through a lot of the existing offices to get the circuits to that. So we're just here to request a variance to have that panel located. Yeah.
Matthew Cronley, I am the chief inspector for the state of Indiana. I'm also the section chief of the elevator safety section. The only thing that I will add, he just made note that a sheriff would have to escort the electrician into the elevator. That's a little bit inaccurate because it would also have to be accompanied by a qualified elevator personnel, because since it is the elevator equipment room, only authorized elevator personnel are authorized access into that room. Just putting that out.
So it'd take 3.
It would take at least minimum 3. Even if they have a power outage or anything like that, they're gonna have to get in touch with an authorized elevator personnel to access that electrical panel.
Something as simple as a breaker tripping. It's
Yeah.
gonna take 3 people to fix.
Correct. Let that hang.
So where do you get an authorized elevator? Is there someone on staff?
They don't have anyone on staff. They would have to call the elevator service company. I believe that's be out of Cincinnati.
So like 24/7, just in case? I mean, they
have a 24/7 number for the elevator. Service.
That's too bad. I'm wondering what that right there is. And
normally, go to the courtroom is normally Monday through Friday. Daylight, unless it's a grand jury or something.
So back to your comment about only elevator, say that again?
Authorized elevator personnel here.
Only authorized elevator personnel are allowed in the elevator equipment room.
That's correct.
Does that mean that, do we have authority to?
I think I know where you're going with that.
Variance for that in this particular instance? If that was the only hangup for everybody.
Is that one of our adopted rules, I'm guessing? Elevator.
It is, elevator personnel is defined, if that's where you're going.
No, I think his question is the restriction that only authorized elevator personnel are allowed in that room, is that written in one of our rules? That we could grant a variance to that specific section to allow?
Yeah, it's just in code.
Yeah. And then is there any special key or something that only an authorized elevator personnel has to get into that room, or is it?
Not necessarily, it would be, usually there's a box that the elevator personnel would access to get the key to go into that room.
So they could articulate their operations at this particular door at this one site.
Right.
To
In
monitor.
reality, it's gonna be the maintenance guy who comes in and.
Right, we've had the
Flips the
argument.
breaker.
Yeah, we've had the argument before about having the janitor or maintenance personnel be the authorized representative. It's just that isn't technically a definition of an authorized elevator personnel, but
Well,
I've seen it.
and then if there was a safety concern, again, because of elevator equipment, whatever, like we can specify, or we can, one of the conditions of the variance is that anybody accessing that has to have training of some sort to
So in the event of a fire, the fire department, when they have access to that key, they have to access.
Yeah, we have, sorry, no, get in. So on an elevator box typically is what you got in the lobby down.
Yes.
Floor, so we got an elevator box there that we can access, because obviously we have players inside elevator rooms before. And we
Yeah,
access.
close the door now, I'm all, so.
All right, I'll go for a motion to um, uh, um,
While you're thinking about that,
yeah,
just looking, just asking the question. With that panel located where it's shown on the plans, is it gonna meet all the clearance requirements for the
Yes.
clearances?
Yes, it does.
so I make a motion to approve with conditions that access to the elevator equipment room is permitted by a qualified and trained maintenance professional, or access to the electrical panel. Trying to think if there's any other conditions on that. I think that's probably it, right?
Where's Matthews too?
Sorry?
I don't know if you had any conditions.
No, I think if somebody was properly trained by an elevator company, just to identify what the equipment is, what kind of safety precautions they may need to take, just be somewhat familiar with the space before.
Is there like a specific type of training that you know of that we can refer to, or no? Like
Not necessarily, other than, CT or NEAT, which I don't think that person's gonna have to go through all of that.
Okay. So, so the condition is that a qualified and trained and a qualified maintenance professional with training specific to elevator equipment room safety can access the room without a authorized elevator professional.
That does pretty high place under circumstance being in there. So control is key there.
I guess my follow-up question would be, this variance is a request for a variance out of the electrical code. We approve this, are they still in violation of the elevator code?
Very good question. Technically. What kind of elevator is it, sir? Is it a passenger? It's a passenger elevator. Okay, so 17.1, Denise?
What was it again?
A 17.1. Right.
The 17.1, 2007 edition.
We wait on a second or?
I don't know.
I think we're just trying to figure out the wording.
Sort it out.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah, I mean, do we need to add,
Had the questions.
yeah, do we need to add, yeah. I mean, if we're so inclined to grant the variance out of the electrical code, I hate to have them still be in non-compliance with a different code, so I think we probably need to.
Yeah,
Exactly, we need to add that in as well.
well, I guess I'm just thinking like when we've granted other variances, we don't go through and make sure that we're not conflicting with other things. We're just granting the variance for what was noted or what was caught or whatever. So if they have other variances they need to apply for, they need to send those to us.
Copy's just not looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah. So if this is if there's another provision in the elevator code that they're not meeting, we need a variance with the written information about what the merits are for granting that variance separate, was kind of how I'm viewing it.
Right.
You gotta have a feeling there's gonna be some hoops. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, we need to submit a variance for the elevator code as well.
If there's a
If there's a requirement.
yeah.
It's basically just the definition in chapter 2 of 817.1 2007. It's just because the elevator personnel is what is defined.
Okay. Well, I think
No, yeah,
saying more.
my question is more, is there a section in 17.1 that says only elevator equipment is allowed in the elevator room?
Yes.
Or does it just?
True too, though.
Yes, there is only elevator equipment allowed in the elevator. Yes.
So the electrical code says you can't put it in an electrical room, or you can't put it in an elevator room.
Correct.
The elevator code says you can't put it in an elevator room.
Correct.
So we're only granting one variance. That's my point, is there's going to need to be a second one because you're still going to be in violation when an elevator inspector comes out. They'll just cite it out of the elevator code, not the electrical code.
We're gonna get to know you a little bit, or.
So then do you want to table variance? Because I don't want to do the whole process of evaluating everything they could be.
I feel like that'd probably be the easiest thing would, if they still can.
Pay for 2 variances.
Yeah, I don't know at this point if they can add a code section to a variance that's already been processed.
They will have to refile.
Second variance. Yeah, or an addendum. You make an addendum to the variance.
I don't think so.
So if the elevator code
So I don't think.
has the same language as the electrical code, could he just use that elevator code section then? See what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying because they kind of reference each other.
I'm saying if you want to go back,
Or is
you
there,
would need that section. Elevator.
I'm just trying to prevent any confusion in the field for an inspector going out.
Yeah, because my elevator inspector might not be referencing the NEC and then,
Exactly.
right,
That's why I said the elevator.
right. Because that's going to be the person that would identify. He goes in the elevator equipment room and sees a panel that has nothing to do with it.
he's gonna go, oh, gotcha.
So if, I don't know, you or whoever would come up with that section.
Yeah, I
That section around, and he can, keep the same language that he has, but the section will change, reflecting the elevator code.
I don't have that off the top of my head. I'd have to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say let's table it then. And then do research to figure out, make sure you're getting a variance that covers both electrical
Yep.
and elevator.
So you're
And possibly put some language on like labeling that panel so
Right.
people know it's not elevator equipment.
Yeah. We can do that as a condition.
Yeah.
Up just says it has to be marked anyhow. But we're not dealing with ocean right now, but.
Okay. All right, motion to table. Second.
Are there, yeah, we didn't vote on it. We've been going through things kind of quick. I know that too, so,
Very easy.
Let me see.
Vice Chairman is done.
Everybody that wants to approve that would say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, it's tabled.
Sorry.
That's okay. We missed them talking first too, so IHS, so. On this, so yeah, we'll slow down. Okay, next.
Event barn change of use and addition. The code mandates that each occupancy having an occupant load of over 100 required sprinklers. Correct, that handout. The submitter requests that they limit the occupant load to the building to below 100 instead of applying the code. Nutritionally with farms to the commission.
Yeah.
So.
Just ask how long. Has this been submitted to DFPS?
No, but it will be. We have submitted for the CDR, but it has not been approved yet, waiting on this as well.
Okay.
We just got the information from water company yesterday. That's why I added this today.
Okay.
Tom, I'm Nathan Brown with Renaissance Design Build, 117 South Indiana Avenue, Salisbury, Indiana, representing George and Robin Smith on this event barn in DePaul, Indiana. Address is 7010 Milltown, Bridgetown Road, Northwest. Just a little background. Actually, there was a barn in addition. I think they were both built. The barn was original, I think, and then they built an addition for storage, and then they transferred it to a event venue. I think you guys have probably heard this some time before. We're here again. The cost of the addition and renovations was $275,000. The approximate cost of the sprinkler building is $97,000. And their program they intend to do is actually has two dining areas or two event areas. And they're only going to use one or the other on a weekend. So there'll only be 52 events per year. Monday through Thursday, they're not being used at all. They set up on Thursday and Friday, and then they clean up on Sunday as their program for the Saturday events that they are trying to get to use this barn. The closest, this is the Ramsey Water Company is a water company. This is at the end of their line, and their closest line to get the size, volume, and pressure needed is 2.7 miles away. So you can see the opinion of probable cost to do that is $1.14 million to bring an 8-inch water main to this site. So our request is to variance for the sprinkler requirement.
So it's typical when we get estimates for sprinklers, it's from a company that actually installs sprinklers, not just the opinion of the person submitting the letter.
Okay.
So what are you basing your numbers on? NICET certifications, industry expertise, and installation design of sprinklers.
Just calls of sprinkler company people that I know is what I'm basing it on. And this is an open barn structure, so it's finished, but it's not finished like this. It's open structure, so.
So they're going to pay for 24 fire hydrants on that that new line if it was.
You're supposed to have a fire in every 600 feet by the.
But they're wanting you to put the bill. You guys put the bill on for their.
This was his opinion.
That would be the cost to do that, yes.
Okay.
The water company has no plans to change, upgrade the water line.
I love it, making you add hydrants.
Yeah,
that's people have to add lines to get to their business to add sprinklers. Correct, but they typically only have to add a hydrant on their own property and then sprinkler and that far away.
Me mentally is kind of looking at it like they're wanting somebody else to put the bill for water line that they're gonna use for everything else. That's.
I don't know if you guys have any more questions. That's pretty much our.
I've got one.
Sure.
Under staff comments in the database, it says, submit a request to the owner of limit the occupant load of the building below 100 instead of complying with the sprinkler requirement. I don't see that in the application. All I see is a statement that because of the nature of the events, the building is never likely to be more than 50% occupied.
We're willing to make that as a condition of approval. We can have that posted on the wall or whatever as well.
Your jaw actually way more than that. For seating, the tables and.
Well, we just fit what could be put in there. So, but we were willing to make that a condition of the approval. The owners are.
You see that, I'm just saying that the drawings they included, they have way more.
Yeah, it does. I think if you have both sides, that the occupant load was 288. For one side, it was under 100, and one side was a little over 100.
I might have missed it, but, so you have an existing barn and you're adding on to it? Is that right?
They already did it.
Oh, they already
This
did.
is everything's constructed.
What's the total square footage?
What was the question?
What's the total square footage?
12,000.
214.
Yeah, 12,214.
So you've met two requirements that require sprinkling,
Right.
5,000 square foot limit and 100 or more occupants.
Do you know what a tank would cost? Tank and a pump? The sprinkler system, rather than having to run a line?
Or how deep that retention pond is behind it, or it might just be a regular pond.
I don't know if that's on their property even. There's a pond, there is a pond there. I did not do a cost opinion of that, no.
So they could put a water tank in. Right. That'd be fire suppression.
$300,000 for a water tank.
Understand. Cost to do business.
Right.
There's, you decide that you want to open a business, you figure out, well, I want to have a restaurant, I guess I need to buy a stove,
So there's a water line there, but it's not sized.
It's like a 4-inch water line, yes, sir. So it's not sized, you don't have the volume or the pressure either for that. Put a sprinkler system in the building.
But there is water there.
Yeah, open line.
Okay.
Good tank, okay. Just pop some, there's a pond there.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see some pictures of what's already been built, because everything that I'm looking at is all proposed, and drawings on the map, and now you're telling us that it's already built.
That's how we got involved. So we measured up, well, we put the tables in, but we measured what the building was there already, so.
You got it coming on the back end of it, did you?
Yes, yeah, like they got caught by the local building people, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes.
The pond issue can be looked at, or a tank issue.
Are they proposing any alternatives?
I think it needs to be tabled, until,
The only thing that they proposed is to limit the occupant load.
Yeah, we don't know if there's fire alarm, there's a fire alarm. Smokers.
No current fire alarms there, no. We can add that, though. We can make that up.
And then, is this even, I mean, is this even a class 1 structure yet, or do we need to go through that process? So,
We submitted our CDR.
So, yeah, the existing barn would be separate. This is an addition to it.
but they're connected, right?
Correct.
So is the barn,
Was the barn ever considered?
is the barn still an agricultural building and not a class 1 structure?
I'm not saying that we've seen it as a for variance to use like chapter 34 that we normally see on that. That's what my question was too.
So typically somebody brings a barn to us and says they want to get a chapter 34. So you'd be able to use the barn, but we don't even know if it's actually been through that process or not. Or you're making it
It's not, I'm not concerned. That's not know anyway.
All right, so I think we need to table this.
Okay.
And I think you need to do some research on, is the barn still an agricultural building? Does it need to be submit a variance for using chapter 34 to turn it a class 1, if I'm understanding that right? Craig, you said that very well last time we had a meeting. And then, again, some additional information on what's built, not just proposed drawings. Because I don't think there's enough information here to us to do anything but deny it.
And we can bring some more information. I don't even know if that's their pond on the property, so we can do some more research on that end too.
Like Mr. Cook said, does it have a farm system already or not? We don't know that, so.
No.
So,
That was done in the building when we were there.
so you know what you need to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, motion to table.
Second at the table. All in favor, Tim, say aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Thank you. Bring it back to you next month. Thank you.
We have 240942 Specialties Company, Noblesville.
Here we go. The code mandates that repair garages used for the repair of commercial trucks or buses exceeding 5,000 square foot be provided by an automatic sprinkler system. This requests installing a fire alarm, smoke detection, and heat detection system in lieu of the sprinkler system. This is meant just due to the scale of this particular project.
Melissa Tupper, RTM Consultants. This is a vehicle maintenance and equipment repair shop. They are part of IMI Concrete. So all of the equipment they repair is very large, which requires this larger building. You'll see on the floor plan, they've got a crane that runs down the center of the building to be able to work on the equipment. They do have some commercial vehicles, but this isn't, it's a lot of equipment and large vehicle maintenance for the concrete company. We've separated off everything that we could with 3-hour construction. So the office and break room areas are all separated with 3-hour construction. And then the other 2 enclosed rooms, we separated with 3-hour construction. They'll do a fire alarm, heat detection, and smoke detection throughout in lieu of the sprinkler system. The cost to sprinkler the building is $564,000, which is nearly 19% the cost of the building. We have a written estimate. I thought I had uploaded it from Ryan Fire Protection, so this is a accurate cost estimate, but apparently I did forget to do that. But
It's just under 20,000 square foot building, correct?
yeah, it's right at that. It's 20,000 square feet. So we broke out, the fire area is just under 20, breaking out the because there's some mezzanine areas above the enclosed rooms, so those count towards the fire area.
How much does the mezzanines count towards the fire area?
Not much. If you look on the floor plan, there's the two hatched areas that call for 3-inch concrete ceilings. Those are where the mezzanines are located. So.
You saying, Dave?
One side 1,700 square feet.
Is that the big side?
Yeah, that's the larger side, is 1,750.
The other one's 1,740. 400, 500.
So another 700, so just 2,450 for the mezzanine fire area.
Awful big space.
It's 4 times the.
Be different if it was just a couple feet over, but it's 4 times.
And it's maintenance.
And it's maintenance.
It says on the site plan storage, floor plan storage, makes, they're gonna work on the big truck.
Correct.
Range to pull the tanks of the drums off.
Yeah.
That pull.
Not feeling good, but.
So is the hardship just the, what would you say the cost was for the sprinklers?
The cost is
Yeah.
$564,000.
For the sprinklers?
Yeah, to get water to the site. Let me.
They have a lot of water.
That doesn't include the site work necessary.
This is in Noblesville?
And it's 3 million for the building?
It's got a Noblesville address, but it's outside of Noblesville limits.
Across the road. It's across the road.
Over there, y'all,
Just across the road. I know where.
well, you know where it's at? Oh. Oh, get that part off.
And have you spoken to local building or fire official?
We did not. Joe, Heil is on the call. He's, with this owners group. He's the president. Joe, did you speak to a fire official?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It's just too large for a building for me.
I mean, they're doing, I mean, it's the fire department's volunteers, so, I mean, difficult to get a hold of them. And like I said, we're gonna have a heat and smoke detection system and fire alarm.
Here it goes.
There you go.
Daryl Cross, Noblesville Fire. Just a point of clarification. It does have a Noblesville address. It is not in the Noblesville Fire Department response jurisdiction. Be the Wayne Township Volunteer Fire Department. We do mutual aid response with them. There's a good chance we would be first due to this site, but we are not the primary responding agency. I would just point out that 903-291, which requires sprinklers of 5,000 square feet, is a subset of 903-29 S1 sprinkler, which requires sprinklers at 12,000 square feet.
Right.
So
Either way,
this building does require a sprinkler system to it. So, and as far as the sprinkler system cost, I do know where the water mains are in relation to the area. It's probably 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile to extend water main to this
particular site. So I can understand the cost estimates that have been brought.
Yeah, the cost was to do a fire pump and on-site water storage tank from
Okay.
Ryan Fire Protection.
Not even extending main, it was to do a fire pump.
Yeah, 60,000 gallon water storage tank with a fire pump.
I know we look at stuff saying, you know, hey, 10% is whatever. I mean, that's kind of been that, but, you know, I don't know. I look at this criticism as part of the structure. Yeah, I mean, that's part of the structure. It's not like you're adding something that isn't required in the structure.
Melissa, what type of, equipment's gonna be maintained in this building? Or like what,
Correct.
you said it's vehicles maintenance?
Yeah, Joe, why don't you speak to that? You know better than I. Can you explain what kind of equipment and specifically, vehicles that are in there?
Yeah, it would be concrete trucks, ready-mix trucks,
Concrete
dump
trucks.
trucks, maybe a loader, maybe a motor grader, just all the equipment that we typically use.
And like how much does one of those concrete trucks cost?
$250,000.
Here's good. Yeah.
So you can fit, you know, a few $1 million of trucks in there?
Yes.
Concrete ain't cheap anymore.
It is not.
This is a new building, is that correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Hasn't started yet. Question.
Size of the building. Mr. Cook's right. I mean, you look at the cost of one of those vehicles is probably close to having just a sprinkler system. Yeah.
I would think too, in a new building like this, the selection of this location, some consideration might be given to the availability of water.
The location was selected due to being right down the road from the IMI plant. So
Plus
It's-
we already owned that property.
and you can't really get these large of sites in town where you have water available.
I didn't think of if everyone's on here, they're only bring their own water.
Right down the road.
Oh, so all right, so you got water on the site. That's already starting to put it out. Most of those are fire either control or contain already. Before we even get there. What the local department. You know, I think just a sprinkler system saving one of those trucks is probably worth the cost of the sprinkler system. Smoke detector, yeah, it's gonna get that for you. Smoke detection, but it's not gonna protect your vehicle from.
So are they mixing concrete at this facility?
No, no, it's repairing vehicles.
I meant, on the site.
Yeah,
Like,
there'd be a concrete plant northwest of our building, probably a quarter mile.
Okay. And, how's the water provided for that?
They had to drill a well. And the water is not plentiful in that area. I think they're getting like between 20 and 40 gallon a minute.
What's your, I mean, is your plans to, I mean, I guess, is there an advantage of having more water at the site? For
Yeah,
your
more water.
operations?
Yeah, the more water, the better, and we don't have to drill the wells deep or as many wells.
Yeah.
The
is
city
it-
won't bring it out to us. Which I get it, it's not even in the city limits.
Oh, the future might be. Growth potential is crazy up there right now.
Yeah, they're developing just south of it right now.
Yeah, to those points, I would point out that there is a new subdivision almost immediately across the street from the IMI plant, which is to the west of this site. And there is now water across State Road 38, almost directly from the IMI plant. So there's not great. It's certainly feasible. I'm not great at estimating distance on here, but and cost of extending Main would be a lot cheaper than it was a year or two ago.
I don't know the reasoning for this, but for example, there's sewer across the road as well. And the county or the city will not cross State Road 38, and I don't know the reason, because we tried to beg them to bring it across so we could hook up to it, and they will not do it. I don't know if that's could be the same way with the water or not.
So I take it there's no hydrants underneath. But there's no hydrants close to there either. I'm just trying to figure out why a hydrant wasn't stipulated to be there as well.
For
The site itself.
Well, I mean, that would be another concern, correct, that they would not have.
Not a private hydrant on site.
Right, correct. So that should potentially be another variance,
Correct.
for this site. Yeah.
Well, based on what's been said, my motion is to deny, based on, how much value of vehicles is going to be stored in there. The cost percentage seems pretty low for a hardship.
Just to clarify, we're not storing the equipment in the building unless it's broken and can't move. And we'll pull it in and change oils, things like that, or air filters, or repair it. But no, it's not like indoor parking.
Well, then why is it so big? So can you make it smaller so it's less than 12,000 square feet?
No, because we have 1,300 of these trucks. There's a lot of them are broken at once.
There's more of an issue working on the vehicles than there are just.
Yeah.
There's
already something on them.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're having to work on them and, maybe you have to weld something, maybe you have to, whatever.
One rack is going to the wrong spot.
Yeah. There's been a motion a second already. So all those in favor of denial, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion goes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have 240943, C-store edition, Indianapolis.
It's another convenience store, cashier area. They want variance for that to not put a ramp in to the cashier area.
My elevation, the raised portion is 7 inches, so I think Kelly Wesley, the architect. The raised area is at 7 inches. I got the written interpretation. So I think hopefully we're under that.
How big is it? Square footage?
138 square feet.
And is it necessary for?
It's for security reasons, to be able to see over. This area is not a very nice neighborhood.
So is a variance required? If it meets that criteria?
Well, originally, when the variance was filed, there was an issue, with as far as whether or not that office area was considered, what's that?
Essential.
Essential, yes. And so it looks like, revised drawings were submitted on September the sixth. Where she changed where the, doors to the office was revised.
Okay, so you
During
can't,
construction, it was raised to the level of the liquor store. It's a 2-foot difference in the liquor store and the convenience store elevation
so the office is no longer only,
of the convenience store. It's part of the hallway that